on a clean fight. Quiero una pelea limpia. Good luck to both of you. Buena suerte a los dos. Touch him up. Touch him up.
Coria, Conceição, the final bout of our undercard action leading up to our two title fights here tonight. Michaela Mayer taking on Eva Brodnicka, and then Jason Maloney doing battle with Naoya Inoue for the bantamweight title. Conceição, 14-0, but not a prolific knockout artist, just 7 knockouts in his 14 wins. And Coria, 12-3 in his young career with 7 knockouts coming in those 12 victories. Coria just 22, but a 4-year professional. And we talked about Conceição's prolific amateur career, 3-time Olympian for Brazil. And as an amateur, beat Oscar Valdez, actually beat Vasily Lomachenko before the commission at the 2011 World Champions overturned the judge's decision in that fight. They said that the scorecards were all wrong and that Lomachenko deserved to be the winner of that fight. So I'm sure if you asked Robson, he would tell you that he defeated Lomachenko as an amateur, even though the record books maybe have an asterisk during that fight.
Let me get this right, Eric. Corruption in the amateur ranks? Color me surprised.
No, you would never hear of such a thing. Not in this honorable sport of boxing, of course.
Well, Conceição has made it clear. The Olympics were so nice. He did it thrice, but he needs to really make an impact for himself as a professional. And fighting a younger, 10 years younger to him, who's still building up to his man strength, Conceição, you can't say the same. So when you mentioned that knockout power is not right there, at this point of his career, we already know what we're going to get. So, knowing what we have, Conceição has to work with that.
Well, he is coming off a second-round knockout victory in the bubble against Eduardo Reis. And goes to the body, a good right uppercut to the body from Conceição, and Coria answers with an overhand left.
Really telegraphed that one. He swung that one all the way from his shoulder and brought it right back into the body. And we're talking about Conceição's Olympic pedigree. The way he was discovered was with Top Rank's Todd DeBuff and Top Rank matchmaker Brad Goodman, who attended the Olympics, and they were blown away by the reaction they saw from the Brazilian fans. So they saw talent, they saw marketability, and they pounced.
Good action here in the first round between these two. Good exchanges on both sides. And Coria, we mentioned his dogfight with Adam Lopez in his last bout. Not a guy who is going to back down to the resume of Conceição. 22-year-old and not scared of anything and looking for a signature victory. As they exchange left hands, and tough to tell who got the better of that first round.
Very evenly split right down the middle. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this fight develops moving forward.
Scheduled for 10 rounds.
Take your breath.
And it would be a first for Conceição, who has never gone past 8 rounds. Coria went the full 10-round distance in his last fight against Lopez. As you see the corner for Conceição, it's trainer Luis Doria. 2016 gold medalist, also won the 2015 Pan Am Games. Speaking of Olympians, how about the former American Olympian, Michaela Mayer? Now a 13-0 professional looking for her first belt and her first title opportunity against Eva Brodnicka from Poland. And there is Brodnicka with a little shorter hair than she had yesterday. She showed up 9/10 of a pound overweight. She was given an hour to make the weight necessary to retain her title and defend it against Mayer. She got all the way down by cutting her hair and running around and trying to sweat it out. She got down to 1/10 of a pound over the limit, but couldn't get any further. So Brodnicka losing the belt on the scale yesterday, cannot retain the title. Michaela Mayer, however, still can win it. Second round here between Conceição and Coria, and Conceição, Manuk, has landed 2 big left hooks to start this round, but Coria not going anywhere.
This is back and forth from the get-go, and we're only 20 seconds in. The way this fight, the ebb and flow that we're moving forward with, Coria has already proved he can be in the frying pan. He's...
Oh, a big right
5, 6.
The three-time Olympian Conceição was on his back, a looping left hand from Luis Coria.
Conceição is not right now. His lip is busted. His eyes are glazed.
Here comes Coria.
Holding on for dear life. Look at Coria, the young gun with the veteran savvy move by pushing him away. He still has an offensive onslaught left in him with 1:50 to go.
We mentioned Coria fighting and nearly beating Adam Lopez in his last fight. This second round kind of reminds me of the second round between Lopez and Valdez, when Lopez a year ago was not expected to do anything against Oscar Valdez, was a late-minute replacement in that fight and knocked down Valdez early as Conceição starts to come back here with 1:30 to go in round number 2.
Yeah, Conceição is still trying to get his feet under him. He had a little bit of a happy feet there, and here's Coria putting it on him again.
Left hand from Coria is dangerous.
Hard to tell who's the veteran. Hard to tell who's the three-time Olympian and gold medalist.
Coria is 10 years younger, but he's got one more professional fight than Conceição does.
And he hasn't still developed his man strength either at the age of 22.
Good combination from Conceição, who has recovered a little bit here after being knocked down on a huge left hand from Coria earlier here in the second round.
But Conceição is showing his veteran savvy right now. The way he controlled those deep waters was admirable, and he's giving himself a chance right now to get out of this round.
Conceição also cut on the lip as well, but frankly, Conceição has been the aggressor here in the last minute since he was knocked down. 4-punch combination there as Coria says, come on, give me some more, and Conceição obliges.
Conceição finishing this round very nicely, just tagged him with a 3-punch combination. It's safe to say he fully has his legs underneath him, and he's ready for war in this fight.
Inside left uppercut lands for Coria as they clinch 12 seconds to go in a phenomenal second round here between these two. Conceição was on his back, but a great final minute and change from him. Coria may have won the round, but Conceição sure isn't going anywhere.
No, he clearly proved it. That was a sign of a veteran right there, but a rookie by taking that uppercut right there. Did not protect himself, left his hands open, sweeping left hook at the top of the temple, and as you can see, he's dancing around the ring. Boom!
Luis Coria scoring the knockout. Jason Maloney maybe watching the monitor saying, hey, I'd like to do that to Naoya Inoue. Wouldn't we all if we were given the opportunity? Naoya Inoue, 19-0, 16 knockouts. The man they call the Monster, making his top-ranked ESPN debut in defense of his WBA, IBF, and Ring Magazine Bantamweight World titles. A champion at 3 different weight classes. Taking on a former champion, Jason Maloney, our main event later tonight. We'll see if the sparks continue to fly between Coria and Conceição here in the third.
The first minute of this round is going to be critical to Coria because if he continues to put on the pressure to Conceição, that's the only way he's going to continue chopping away at the veteran, because he's had a great first 6 minutes of this fight. He's putting the veteran on the back pedal right now and pushing the fight as he pleases.
Conceição, to his credit, you talked about it late in that second round, does appear to have his legs back under him, has been bouncing around here in the first 45 seconds of round number 3. Each of them connecting with left hooks there as Coria continues to come forward and got caught right there by a combination by Conceição. Coria with that forward-moving approach does not seem to be too concerned about Conceição's power. As we mentioned, just 7 knockouts in 14 wins for Conceição, so maybe that's part of the strategy for Coria, is just keep coming forward and let him throw what he's going to throw, because he's not scared of the punching power.
Yeah, Coria's all game for a big-time fight right now because he's not respecting Conceição's power. He's charging forward. He's like, give me your best shot, I'm going to take it. And considering Conceição has so much amateur pedigree, he's not really showing it right now. He's not showing that savvy that you learn in the amateur ranks. And his fighting style is not typical of what we see, specifically from the Cuban fighters, per se.
You see the blood from the lip of Conceição, the blood from the nose of Coria. Action-packed 3 rounds so far between these two. Coria, after his fight against Adam Lopez and now through 2 rounds and change against Conceição, is going to start making a name for himself as a guy you can count on for exciting fights, no matter the opponent. And frankly, Conceição, who I talked about coming out bouncing at the beginning of this round, has looked a lot more tired over the past minute to minute and a half, and a bit sluggish.
Yeah, Coria is dropping his hands right now. One thing he can't get away from is his defense. He's getting a little greedy with the offense, but he can't forget the defense at the same time. He needs to put his hands up because he's in there with the wily veteran.
Conceição goes back to the body. Back up top, 5 straight punches, finishes the combination with a left jab. And then after the bell body shot for Conceição. And you're looking at punching volume, Manuk, and maybe even landed punches. Conceição maybe had more in that 3rd round, but he's looking tired, and it's tough to tell how much power he's got behind these punches, especially later on in that 3rd round.
No, Conceição came back very nicely there in the 3rd. He survived that knockdown, which I thought was a little bit more dangerous than what originally appeared, but he came back really nice. I mean, look at these claws, like Coria's not even trying to defend those shots, which might be his problem if this fight continues to move forward at this pace. Coria needs to show the defense a little bit better.
Essa mão direita tem que estar sempre alta. Tudo bem? Vamos, campeão. Inteligente, você tem muita experiência, inteligente. Boxeia, anda, não fique parado com o golpe parado.
Conceição's corner, led by trainer Luis Doria. Conceição celebrating his 32nd birthday 6 days ago. It's been a week of birthdays for fighters on this card, as Julian Rodriguez, who won by knockout earlier in the evening, also celebrating his birthday this week. Coria has not been as gracious with his birthday gift for Conceição, as Coria goes to the body, a good left hook, and now back over the top, catches Conceição back in the body, and Coria, the aggressor here to start the 4th.
And pounding his chest, saying, give me everything you got. This is quite a fight here through 4 rounds.
And now Conceição on the move.
Sure seems like the bubble brings out the best in everyone. That we've already had the fight of the year front runner, and this one's materializing to be just as exciting right now.
Okay, one push.
Question is, as we continue to move through these rounds at this pace with the amount of punches being thrown, and a point deduction for Conceição on a low blow, Mike Ortega.
Let's go.
We may have missed a warning earlier on. It's tough to tell sometimes. As far as I remember, Manuk, I don't remember Conceição getting a warning for a low blow, but he gets deducted a point here in the 4th.
Not at all. A quick trigger there for a point deduction without any warning. We're watching the fight just like everyone else is. We have not seen a warning. We have not heard a warning. And here's Conceição following. What's going on here?
That is not a knockdown. A slip. Conceição, who was already knocked down in the 2nd round, as I was going to say before the point deduction for Conceição. The pace of this fight, the amount of punches being thrown by both fighters, Conceição, in terms of conditioning, looks to be the worst for wear, and he might get deducted again. That was a big right hand that went below the belt from Conceição. Referee Mike Ortega was a little bit out of position and missed it.
Conceição is swinging for the fences right now. Every shot is swinging and looping.
A big smile from Conceição as they clinch under a minute to go here in the 4th. So a knockdown in the 2nd for Luis Coria against Conceição, and then Conceição deducted a point here in the 4th for low blows. And you would think on the cards, Coria well in control, but a lot of time remaining if Conceição can get his energy back, can stabilize his approach. The problem has been Coria has not let his foot off the gas one iota in this fight.
Well, as you can see on your screen right here, if Coria hits Conceição in the chest, he might be charged with a low blow. Look how high those trunks are.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Urkel trunks.
It's impossible to have a target line there.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Ortega asked him to lower those trunks because that's extra padding around the midsection that shouldn't be there.
No, absolutely.
Ortega again warning the corner of Conceição, saying he needs to keep those punches up. Conceição deducted a point in the fourth. And prior to that point deduction, you talked about it, Manute, but he had really let his hands go, throwing a lot of good combinations. Again, tough to tell how much power is behind these punches because Coria just has walked through them. That was not a knockdown. Conceição slipped and fell. Inoue getting his hands wrapped. Just one fight before the main event. After the Conceição Coria conclusion, Michaela Mayer will take on Eva Brodnicka. And then it's Inoue against Maloney. When we think Conceição and Coria is an action fight, wait till you see Maloney and Inoue.
Oh boy, I can't wait. Anytime a fighter is there getting his hands taped, you know we're on the count, officially on the countdown.
Those are two fighters that like to throw a lot of punches, just like Conceição and Coria have so far as we start round number 5. This has been the MO for Conceição. He has started rounds very strong, been the aggressor, but tapered off as the time has gone, and Coria has not shown any loss in stamina whatsoever.
It's clear through the first 4 rounds that the script has not worked for Conceição. He's already been knocked down once. He miraculously got deducted a point, which I'm still looking forward to seeing why, but he really needs to change the tide of this fight really soon, or it might get out of hand on the scorecards.
Did connect on a left-right combination, goes overhand with the right, catches Coria with a left uppercut. Good opening minute to the 5th round for Conceição, who looks to be putting a little bit more effort behind these punches than we've seen in the past couple rounds.
And as Coria proved against Adam Lopez, he's not going anywhere. He is staying there right in front of you. He's going to bug you. He's going to pester you. He's not going anywhere. So Conceição is going to have it rough here for the last stretch of the fight.
Mexican heritage in Louis Coria from Moreno Valley, California. Fights with the Mexican flag on his trunks, and we know the pedigree and history and the lore of Mexican fighters and their unwillingness to back down, and we've seen that from Coria here against Conceição.
And like you mentioned, Eric, I mean, you would wonder why they're not putting the padding around his stomach a little bit lower. That's a competitive advantage at this point.
It is. That is the Conceição trunks up above the rib cage, and you see that black padding underneath the trunks. And so if Coria wants to go to the body, not only does he have to get through the hands of Conceição to get there, and then he's got to get through the padding as well. And that was nearly another low blow by Conceição as Mike Ortega steps in. Conceição already deducted a point for low blows. He's come close a couple more times since that deduction.
Yeah, Conceição, it's clear he's undeterred from working the body. Some fighters get demoralized when they're charged a point, and they just continue being headhunters for the remainder of the fight. But you got to give Conceição credit because he's trying to have an all-around fight at this point, and he's going to need to in order to beat Coria if this fight continues.
It's been a good bounce-back round, though, for Conceição.
No, he's doing really well right now. Ooh, nice uppercut there. Almost took his head off. All action, you got to love it.
The volume of punches between these two. As you see the blood trickling off the lip of Conceição onto the shoulder of Coria. Fighting in the phone booth here in the 5th. Conceição connecting, and a good bounce-back round for Robson Conceição.
Exactly what he needed.
A full moon on Halloween in Las Vegas. Why not? 2020's been weird enough. Why not a full moon in Las Vegas on Halloween. And the monster comes out when there's a full moon on Halloween. Naoya Inoue taking on Jason Maloney later tonight. Inoue 19-0. Maloney, a former title holder, only having one loss in his career, says he is in the best headspace and the best physical shape of his life and is ready to rise to the challenge and do what no man has done before, and that is defeat Naoya Inoue as a professional. Inoue Maloney, the main event following Nair Brodnicka, the women's junior lightweight W world title fight. Coming up in our main event.
Box.
Round number 6, Coria and Conceição. Can Conceição, Manute, continue the momentum he picked back up there in the 5th round? And if so, what does he need to do to keep with it? Oh, he's going to get deducted another point, isn't he?
1 point, no blow.
Wow.
1 point,
Conceição just can't get out of his own way. Deducted a point for low blows in the 4th, and now deducted another point in the 6th after he was knocked down in the 2nd. So that's 3 points right there, despite the fact that he, at least in my opinion, Manute, won that 5th round and has really started to come on strong. He just can't get out of his own way.
Unfortunately, he might be digging himself a hole he might not be able to climb out of, because the last low blow was actually right below the belt line. So I have no problem with Ortega taking a point there, but you have to let him work the body at the same time, and that's Conceição's game plan right now, because headhunting has not worked for him either.
Well, he might need to get away from that game plan, especially if Mike Ortega's eyes are on that belt line of Coria, just waiting for another low blow. And frankly, we saw a couple in the 4th round from Conceição that could have been considered another point deduction, given the way Ortega has penalized Conceição in this fight. Conceição, the 3-time Olympian, seems undeterred. The question is he going to do himself in if this fight goes to the scorecards?
Again, isn't it ironic what Ortega is seeing as far as what the belt line goes?
Right.
Because if the narrative of this fight is going to be what's above and below the belt, you're not allowing Coria to work right now.
Trunks of Conceição have been hiked up above his, right below his nipples since the 2nd round. And that padding underneath the trunks has not been pushed down at all. You see it there. I think that is ridiculously high.
And that's where Coria's corner has to come in. He's trained by Robert Garcia. Everyone is seeing what we're seeing. So you have to have a talk with the referee, at least mention it, get their attention.
You did see Mike Ortega right before this round started kind of shouting at Coria's corner, at Robert Garcia, saying, "Sit down, I got this, sit down, I've got this." So Garcia complaining about something. We're not sure if it was the trunks or not, or the continued low blows that Conceição has now been deducted 2 points for. But Coria scored the knockdown in the 2nd round, and Conceição was deducted a point in the 4th and 6th for low blows. But this is what we've seen. Conceição, every time after getting deducted a point or going down on a knockdown, has come out with a flurry. And arguably, if you take away the point deductions, he's won a lot of these rounds.
I mean, as we just saw, this is Rock'em Sock'em Robots. They're just standing right in the middle of the ring and swinging at each other, left, right, left, right. I mean, there is no technique at this point.
Well, it sure has been enjoyable for us to watch. A little bit confusing, I'm sure, if you're Robson Conceição. Not necessarily if he was going to draw this fight up before it started. I don't think this is how he saw it going. But again, Conceição with those non-stop combinations. And I know, Manute, you unofficially score these as you're watching it. Get the 1 point deduction in the 4th. You and I talked about it. We felt that Conceição outperformed Coria in the 5th round. Conceição gets the point deduction again in the 6th. But all 3 of those rounds, if you take away the point deductions, you could have argued that Conceição won all 3 of those rounds.
Yeah, unfortunately, he might have to pitch a perfect game for the rest of this fight in order to even land a decision or perhaps a draw, because Coria had a great first 3 rounds and put it to Conceição.
Round number 7 for a scheduled 10. Conceição has never been past the 8th round in his professional career. Coria is coming off a majority decision loss in a 10-rounder to Adam Lopez. So Coria has been 10 rounds before.
And this is where Conceição has to show some discipline, because even after Ortega took a point away for him from the low blow, he still went to the body, and Ortega actually stepped in as if he were going to deduct another point. He might have saved him there. This is dangerously getting close to going to the Andrew Gallardo School of Boxing.
Don't tell Carl Moretti that. Overhand right lands for Coria. Coria on the inside, landing some swift uppercuts. The first time we've really seen Conceição curl up in a defensive position over the last 3 or 4 rounds. And maybe that stamina of Conceição is starting to wane.
Both fighters have proven that defense is their best offense right now.
No, don't hit him like that.
Oh.
Stay back.
Ortega, the warning of the rabbit punch for Coria. Nearing the midway point here in the 7th round, both fighters have slowed down a little bit, and not without reason. They have gone all out for 6 straight rounds, as you see. Conceição trying to pump himself back up, get the energy. A big sweeping right hand misses by Conceição as they go forehead to forehead here in the middle of the ring.
Swinging from his hips, Conceição is right now. Perhaps showing a little bit of desperation at this point.
Oh, now he gets warned for a headbutt. Conceição, again, just not on the good side of Mike Ortega, the referee in this fight.
Back.
Luke, you said it. Conceição might need to pitch a perfect game over the final 4 rounds of this fight if he wants to win, or even warrant a draw. The point deductions, the knockdown. Will it be enough for Coria as this fight continues, or can Conceição complete the comeback?
You gotta love Coria's relentless pressure. The volume of punches that he throws is what's keeping this fight in his favor right now. Conceição is fighting right back, but it's not deterring Coria from his forward charging approach.
Conceição looks really tired. We saw a surge of energy there in the 5th and 6th rounds from Conceição, but he has been leaning on Coria this entire 7th. Good finish for Louis Coria there in the 7th. And frankly, mathematically, we might be at a point where Conceição needs a knockout to win.
Thankfully, I didn't major in math in college, so this fight is getting increasingly hard to score right now, considering how close these rounds are when there are not any point deductions or knockdowns, because there is equal offense on each side. You have to wonder what the judges are looking at right now, because each fighter is putting their best foot forward to get the judges' attention.
Dontrella, John McKay, and Eric Cheek, the referees. There is Eva Brodnicka, the Polish champion. Well, at least until yesterday, she was the champion. She lost her belt, WBO junior lightweight world title, lost it on the scales. 1/10 of a pound overweight.
Unfortunately, she credited that by not having access to a sauna, which is one of the problems in 2020 during the pandemic.
Couldn't get a schwitz in. Needed the schwitz. We've all been there.
That's a Las Vegas staple. You got to hit the spa before you head downstairs.
She cut her hair, a couple inches off of her hair. If you're in her position, Manuk, would you have shaved the head full off?
You know, she's still pulling off the cornrows. Whether or not that was worth the 0.1 pounds, that's a decision she's going to have to live with.
She defended the title 5 straight times and loses it on the scale yesterday. Unfortunate. Michaela Mayer will press on and still try to look for her title victory if she is victorious over Brodnicka. Immediately following Coria and Conceição, which has been a fantastic fight so far.
You mentioned the title there. This is heading into the championship rounds right now, even though it's not being fought for a title. It's a 10-round bout. Here we are in the 8th. Conceição has to clearly and definitively win a couple of rounds here to give himself a chance at the 10th to pull it off.
And obviously, you talked about it. You don't want to speculate what's on the judges' scorecards, but there was Conceição getting knocked down, and there's been Conceição being deducted 2 points for low blows. And I just think Conceição has kind of passed the point of being able to win this fight on the scorecards as he connects there with a nice 3-punch combination, because the rounds that have not had deductions have been pretty evenly matched. So if you're a judge sitting ringside, we could see some very wildly different scores depending on how these judges have viewed the rounds where there weren't point deductions.
Certainly, Eric, this is a very hard fight to score because each fighter is having success in their own right, doing different things. Coria is coming forward the entire fight. However, Conceição is having success off his back foot and, wildly flailing and throwing these punches. Sometimes the judges want to see that kind of action at the end of the day, and Conceição, again, but he's flush connecting at the same time.
Coria came out like a bolt of lightning in those first 2 rounds. In terms of volume of punches, both of these fighters, I'm sure if this was a CompuBox tracked fight, we would see some crazy punch volumes from both guys. And the fact that we're now in this 8th round has not really slowed the volume of punches. And again, you hear the warning from Mike Ortega on the low blows. Now Coria stalking Conceição for the final 10 seconds of round number 8. And a good, evenly matched round yet again. Still to come, our main events of the evening. Brodnicka, Mayer, Inoue, Maloney, Top Rank Boxing on ESPN Plus from the MGM Grand Bubble. In Las Vegas, Nevada, 2 title fights coming up following Conceição and Coria. As we are moving into round number 9, there is Michaela Mayer, who will come into this fight 13-0 and has been calling out title holders left and right for the past year. And frankly, if we're being honest, probably would not have gotten this fight tonight had it not been that she was made the mandatory by the WBO for Brodnicka, who seemed to be kind of dodging Mayer by signing with a rival promotional company and trying to schedule a different fight. And from what we can tell, there's not too often where the sanctioning bodies order mandatories in women's boxing, but this was an exception because Michaela Mayer was determined to be the #1 challenger, and Brodnicka, frankly, seemed like did not want to fight her. And we will see how the outcome of that fight turns out after Coria and Conceição.
Yeah, and credit to Bob Arum for delivering on his promise to Michaela Mayer and giving her that world title opportunity. After her last fight, there was a very intimate moment where Bob promised her that title opportunity, and it's minutes away from happening.
Coria coming out here in the 9th round, back-to-back jabs, landing flush on the chin of Conceição. That's a low blow by Conceição, or at least it looked like, maybe right on the belt line. But for a guy, as you talked about, Manuk, a guy who's been deducted 2 points for low blows, the fact that he's even daring to go down there with those big shots and make Mike Ortega make a decision one way or the other, that's maybe not the game plan he should be taking over the last 2 rounds of this fight.
Yeah, he's playing with fire right now, and Ortega's proven that he has a quick trigger, so that's the last thing you want to do in a fight that it's looking more and more that it's going to go to the scorecards.
Again to the body, and now an overhand right from Conceição.
It looks like each fighter is looking to land that hellacious shot, that one-punch power that is miraculously going to put the opponent down, and it's clear that each fighter can withstand each other's punishment. The fight's getting late, but perhaps a plan B at this point would be welcome.
I think we're way past plan B at this point. It has been an entertaining, energetic fight between Louis Coria and Robson Conceição. Conceição, the 3-time Olympian. Coria, the 22-year-old upstart. Coria has done a lot of really good work on the inside of this fight.
Nothing short to be proud of. Following up his performance the way he did against Adam Lopez in this fight against Conceição, it's clear we're going to see a lot more of Coria moving forward. That's for sure, especially in the division.
12-3 with 7 knockouts. This would be a very nice win for his resume if he could be the first professional to defeat Robson Conceição, who was undefeated at 14-0. Absolute war between these two. 20 seconds to go here in round number 9. Good left hook from Conceição, and he goes back to the body once again.
Hell of an exchange here to finish the round.
If there was a crowd in the bubble, they would be on their feet right now.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Cheering these two on to the 10th round. The question is, does Conceição need a knockout to win, or can he salvage the scorecards where he's already been deducted 2 points and suffered a knockdown? See some big connections from Coria. Conceição has delivered as well. Those big, huge, sweeping hooks coming across the chin and body of Louis Coria. Full moon behind the ESPN Plus pumpkin. How about that? It was a fantastic video the Top Rank put out on their Instagram channel this morning. If you haven't seen it, you should take a look. During the fighter photo shoots earlier this week, Mark Chinook, the ring announcer, was dressed as some insane killer clown and was popping out, scaring the fighters. And there were pictures and video. Michaela Maher's reaction was pretty hilarious. He looked scared to death. Louis Coria, he was scared by Mark Chinook, but Coria stood his ground, much like he stood his ground here against Conceição, has not backed down one bit. Killer clowns be damned.
Yeah, the killer clown for Conceição right now could be the scorecard, so he needs to really push this last round and make it competitive, at least on the points.
Conceição undefeated, trying to hang on to that undefeated record. Louis Coria looking for his signature win, coming off a tight loss against Adam Lopez that really put him on the map. And this fight, if he comes out victorious, will definitely elevate Coria.
Punches up, punches up.
Just 22 years old, looking to knock off a 3-time Olympian in Robson Conceição.
No. No lugar assim, no lugar.
Question is, will the deductions be the difference? Conceição needs to turn on the pressure.
Yeah, he's really put himself behind the 8 ball, but we can't complain for the entertaining fight that both of these two gentlemen have given here tonight through 10 rounds.
No, it's been fantastic. All go since the first round. Good overhand rights lands for Conceição. 4, 5, 6, 7 punches in a row as Conceição, maybe a last-second Hail Mary attempt to try to win this fight on the scorecards if he can somehow squeeze out a tight decision despite being deducted 2 points for low blows.
Now Conceição driving his head to the neck of Coria.
Cuidado con la cabeza, cuidado con la cabeza.
He certainly tried to use some veteran tactics with Coria. I don't want to call him a dirty fighter, but he's done everything in his power to make sure he has the advantage from a competitive standpoint, from the way he's positioning his body. It'll be arguable to see if those were actual low blows, but unfortunately that's what he has to deal with right now.
He's definitely toed the line, that's for sure. And the deductions speak to that. And they stand in the middle of the ring for the final 30 seconds, exchanging punches just like they have every single round of this fight. A fantastic performance from Louis Coria and Robson Conceição to wind down the undercard action here on the Maloney Inoue bout sheet. 10 seconds to go.
Stand and bang for 30 minutes. Wow, this is great.
And a round of applause for both of these two fighters as we go to the scorecards. And Manuk, I'm not sure who's going to win, but I am fully expecting some wildly different scores from these three judges, and not at any fault of their own, as this was an insanely difficult fight to judge.
Absolutely. This is one fight where the judges have their work cut out for them, because outside of the knockdown and the 2 points that were unfortunately deducted, the judges have pretty much coin flip rounds for most of those. And it's going to be interesting to see what they actually found work for each.
Louis Coria has to be happy with his performance going up against the three-time Olympian. He took some huge shots early on. In round number 2, Coria delivering the knockdown with the big left hook. Conceição backing down and falling into the ropes, and then things got a little odd as we moved into the 4th round, is when the problems started to occur for Conceição with the low blows, as Mike Ortega was keeping a keen eye out for shots below the belt from Conceição. And you see the work he did upstairs against Coria, but maybe the difference in this fight is the work he did downstairs. And will that deduction in the 4th and 6th be the difference? Will it give the 22-year-old Coria the win, or will Conceição remain undefeated?
Isn't it great? We got to see 3 great knockout wins for the first 3 fights, in a fight that just unfolded like that. To feature a knockdown but not end in a knockout, it just goes to show you how each fighter is built differently. And unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with some scorecards right now, because it did not end in a knockout.
Don Trella, John McKay, Eric Cheek. 3 judges. Mike Ortega, the referee, who was the one to deduct the points from Conceição. All smiles from the two fighters. Let's see the results.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds here inside the MGM Grand, we go to the judges' scorecards for the official decision. Eric Cheek scores the bout 94-93. John McKay and Don Trella both score the bout 95-92. All in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, Robson Nina Conceição.
Wow. Holy cow. Robson Conceição, a unanimous decision victory despite being knocked down in the second and being deducted 2 points for low blows. And if you're Louis Coria, you have got to be confused as to how that turned into a unanimous decision for Conceição.
Talk about one last low blow before this fight finished. Unbelievable, the fact that this could be a unanimous decision considering the trajectory of this fight.